Hello and welcome to this Company of Heroes review. Not the second, nor the third, but the first Company of Heroes. I am the gaming teacher, and you are about to watch a review of one of the most iconic games ever made. Most of you, or at least some, might be young enough to have skipped this masterpiece of a game. Are you tired of any modern bullshit that is being pushed around and unfinished buggy games being released? Well then, Company of Heroes is the right game for you. Company of Heroes is a real-time strategy set in World War II on the Western Front, following the events of D-Day and up to Operation Market Garden. The base game was released in 2006. First expansion called Opposing Fronts the next year, and the standalone expansion, Tales of Valor, in 2009. This game has multiplayer still active after, 18 years, 19 years? Okay, more like 17, but you still get the gist. But firstly, let's focus on the single player aspects. Cutscenes might not look the best, but the acting and voices are top notch.
Kampfmann Funke, we have urgent news.
What is it, Hess? This better be important.
The Americans, they have taken Chambois.
Deploy the 88! We don't want to be caught unprepared!
And the game graphics are holding up very good. So with the base game, you get one campaign as the Americans, which covers D-Day landings both by air and sea, and then it follows their fight all the way to Cherbourg, and after that it focuses on Operation Cobra, the Allied attempt at the breakout at St. Lo, and then you have to repel a German armored counterattack, and then follow them back, and encircle them at Falaise Pocket, and so on and so on. With Opposing Fronts, you get two additional campaigns and factions. One is as the British and their attack on Caen and the heavy street-to-street fighting, while the other campaign is about Operation Market Garden, where you play as the Germans and you try to hold and then push back the Allied airborne invasion. The characters and cutscenes are unique, represented as humans regardless on which side you are.
Father always said you were a positive thinker. These boys and old men are so green, they haven't even fired rifles before. And yet, these are the best Germany can provide us.
Enjoy the war while you can, Wolfgang. The peace will be hell. Remember what Mother used to say. Make Earth your heaven.
If this is heaven, little brother, then we best stay away from hell.
Both campaigns here also function as tutorials to teach you how to use the two new factions, and beside that, the game also has a normal tutorial. How cool is that? Lastly, Tales of Valor added 3 more campaigns. In one you play as the 82nd Airborne, or is it the 101st? It doesn't matter. The second one is about some German troops holding around the Falaise Pocket, allowing their comrades to escape the encirclement. And lastly, but not least, or maybe the most well-known fact, or at least person on that front, at least for the German side, well, you take shoes of Michael Wittmann.
It was there on the Eastern Front we made a name for ourselves. By the spring of '44, we had been redeployed to the Western Front. France.
The Black Baron, as he delivers a crushing defeat to the 7th Armored Division at Villers-Bocage, commanding the iconic Tiger tank. When was it the last time some developer put that much effort and content into one game? Does the game hold any instructive value? As far as I can tell, the game is based on real events. Of course, they took some liberties, as it is impossible to tell step by step what was happening, and also you can't always implement everything in the game, as it wouldn't be that entertaining. But that's to be expected. But for this game they knew how to do it properly. Beside that, if you play this game, you become a certified armchair commissioned officer, but not yet a general. For that you must play something else. But you do get some basics, for example that soldiers live longer if they can use hard cover, that it's easier to engage armored vehicles from the side or rear, that bombs go boom, etc. As said earlier, the multiplayer aspect is still up and kicking, from 1 versus 1 all the way up to 4 versus 4. You can easily find the game as there are hardcore fans of this game, but also quite some new players and those who return to it from time to time. Personally, I belong to this category. If you want this game just for the multiplayer, I would recommend you taking Tales of Valor, as this one includes all 4 factions for multiplayer, and before I get into the factions and their abilities, there are also 3 multiplayer operations. 2 of them can be played alone, if you desire so. So the first operation is Operation Panzerkrieg. This one is the one where you have to play with people. Here you take control of a single tank, you can choose out of 3, and you face the enemies. You are contesting some points, you get some infantry support, and you get different abilities with different tanks, so it's not just about taking the biggest and meanest. After that we have those operations that you can play also alone. So the first, it's called Assault. Here you take control of a hero unit. So to speak, you fight against the enemy hero. Okay, if you play against AI, there is no hero. Only players can play heroes. And you're being helped with the normal army, and you're basically trying to push all the way to the enemy's base. And lastly, we have my favorite, Operation Stonewall, where you play as a defender against the AI, where you have to stand up against wave after wave of enemies, each time with increasing danger. Now let's talk about the factions. Allies have 2 factions. Firstly, we have the Americans or USA. As command trees, you can pick between Infantry Company, Airborne Company and Armor Company. Infantry Company focuses on infantry. It allows you to get Rangers, off-map artillery and M1 howitzers. Airborne lets you call in airborne troops, airborne AT guns, which is also parachuted, as well as airstrikes. Lastly, you have the Armor Company, which grants you bonuses regarding armor. You can get the M4 Calliope and the M26 Pershing. Then we have the British, which get Royal Artillery support, Royal Commando support and Royal Engineer support. Royal Artillery support, as you can expect, gives you off-map artillery as well as priest, and not the one from the church, but the self-propelled artillery gun. Commandos allow you to call in commandos by glider as well as Tetrak tanks by glider as well, so that you can cause havoc behind enemy lines and also some other miscellaneous abilities. Royal Engineers allows you to call in a bunch of different Churchill tanks like Avery, Crocodile and so on. Then we have the Wehrmacht, which can choose between Defensive, Blitzkrieg or Terror Doctrine. Defensive Doctrine boosts your ability to defend. You can build Flak 36, or also known as the 88, and off-map artillery. Blitzkrieg Doctrine gives you Stormtroopers, as well as Sturmhaubitze 42 and Tigers. And lastly, Terror Doctrine allows you to use propaganda to scare your enemies or to boost the morale of your own troops. In case if you want the enemy dead, you can rely on the V1, the King Tiger or any other means. Lastly, we have the Panzer Elite, which can pick from Scorched Earth, Luftwaffe or Tank Destroyer tactics. Scorched Earth allows you to build huge roadblocks. You can booby trap buildings as well as points, and you can also sabotage points. You get to use Hummels, also self-propelled guns. Luftwaffe tactics give you the ability to build Flak-Whirlings as well as 88s. You can spawn Fallschirmjägers from empty buildings, even from behind enemy territory. And not to forget the Henschel AT air support. This is perhaps the biggest lie, as we all know that during D-Day and afterwards, if you saw a plane during the day, it was the American Air Force. If it was during the night, it was the British. And when there were no planes at all, it was the Luftwaffe. Lastly, we get to the tank destroyer tactic, which allows your AT squad to have double the amount of Panzerschrecks. Your troops can detect nearby enemy tanks, place anti-tank mines, as well as you can call in Hetzers and or Jagdpanzer 38 and the iconic Jagdpanther. Each faction plays differently, especially Panzer Elite and the British, as they were added later on, while the Americans and Wehrmacht are more alike. You can also use custom maps, and there exists a shit ton of mods from World War I to modern day to Blitzkrieg, which makes the game more realistic and so on. This game feels like an endless opportunity for the player, and it is. And you know what is the best thing? Its current price. As the Steam sale is going on, you can get all of this for basically nothing. Okay, it's 6.24 euros, like a pizza or even less than a pizza, for the whole thing. But if you want to spend even less, and are willing to have only 3 very cool campaigns, but all 4 factions, so this is more if you are a multiplayer person, get Tales of Valor for only 3.24 euros. This is basically a beer and a half. Prices may vary from region and currency, but this is really an epic deal. For my regular viewers, if anybody will get the game or already owns it, let me know in the Discord so that we can play it together and have fun. If you have not yet, join my Discord. What are you waiting for? I do hope I made this game justice, and I will see you all on the battlefields. Gaming Teacher, out.